Hello everyone and welcome back to my Warhammer 40k guides. I am Brady and today I would like to talk about Horde armies and chess clocks. After my video yesterday, I received a lot of comments from people, mainly orc players, who were claiming that if chess clocks are implemented in the tournaments, then Horde armies should be allowed more time since they have more models to move and more dice to roll. I completely disagree with this and would like to explain why in this video instead of trying to respond to all of them in the comments. Also, this way, if anyone ever says Horde armies deserve more time, you can link them to this video. So in this video, I'm going to explain why I don't think giving more time to a player for having more models is a good idea and how it would literally break the game if we did so. Before we get into that though, this video was brought to you by themagnetbaron.com. They sell modeling magnets of all sizes at a very good price. They also offer magnetized flight stands, magnets for army trays, and even offer fully built and magnetized models. So if you need anything magnet related, then check out themagnetbaron.com. So before I get into the main topic, let me say something about chess clocks that I should have said in the last video. Try playing with a chess clock before you hate on it. I can almost guarantee that every person who is complaining about chess clocks hasn't tried using one yet, and I am confident in saying this because I've never met anyone who has ever used a chess clock outside of the top 8 that was at the GT I attended. How do you know if you don't like the flavor of a soft drink if you haven't tasted it? Same goes with chess clocks. You might think you won't like it, but at least give it a try first before you hate on it. Anyways, that's my mini rant within my big rant, so let's get into the actual topic now. So a few people were saying that the time a player should get should depend on how many models that each player has. Some even going far enough to say that if they have 150 models and the opponent has 50, that the player with 50 models should only have a half hour to play out the game, while the player with 150 models should have 2 hours to play out the game. Honestly, I just feel like this is their entitlement talking because I don't think they thought about how that type of change would affect the game, because it would change it in a very awful and unbalanced way, and it would upset everyone that doesn't play a Horde army. I've also seen people saying that they're not taking time away from anyone, they're being given time. But that's not really the case. That's not how most people are going to look at it. Most people are going to look at it as if they were getting time taken away from them, and nobody likes to have things taken away from them. When a player is asking for more time to play because they have a Horde army, this isn't free time created from nowhere. Like I just said, you're literally taking it away from an opponent, which doesn't sound fair at all. I'll come back to that later though. So let's have some fun here and do what I enjoy doing the most. Let's break the game based on the rule that if you have more models, you get more time. First off, if this was the case, then I am pretty confident that people would purposely add more models into their list to ensure they get more time. So if the rule was added that you get more time based on more models, people are going to bring more models for a couple of reasons. First reason is because you don't want your opponent to cut your time and get more time than you. Also, you would want to get at least equal time or even cut into your opponent's time. Because if you're stealing time away from opponents now, one player is getting more time and the other one's getting less time, timing your opponent out is going to be a valid strategy. By forcing your opponent to have less time to play with their models, they can time out way more easily, and it gives the Horde army even more of an advantage. So not just giving them time to give them advantage on more time to think, more time to move, more time to shoot, they also give the opponent less time to do everything, which means they're more likely going to time out. So because of this and people bringing a bunch of models in order to try to get equal time or more time, this is going to create a Horde meta, where everyone is going to be trying to out-Horde their opponent in order to get equal time or more time than their opponent. With chess clocks, you can take as much time as you want on while it's your time, since that's literally the point of chess clocks, is so that people can see how much time they have and take their time thinking about what they're doing and everything. If you give them way too much time and give their opponent no time, their opponent's not going to have any time to think about anything. So now the norm will become a 100 model army versus a 100 model army, where both players get 1 hour and 15 minutes, which ironically is what it would have been if we just gave equal time for everyone. So we've come full circle and got back to this point, but now both armies have to have 100 models in order to get it this way. Because again, we can't create time out of thin air. You get 2.5 hours for your game, 1 hour and 15 minutes per player. So if 2 people bring Horde armies, no matter what, if they're around the same model count, you're going to be stuck at 1 hour and 15 minutes anyways. So with that said, now let's break the game, so to speak. In a meta where people are bringing 100 to 150 models on average just to try and get equal time so they don't get shafted and get less time and have a better chance of losing the game based on running out of time, I'm going to bring as many brimstones as I possibly can fit into a list. And if my math is correct, I can bring 540 brimstone models to your 150 orcs. Now I get the bonus time and I get 2 hours while you get a half hour to move your 150 orcs. Remember earlier when I mentioned that the extra time didn't come out of thin air and that it's taken from your opponent? How would you feel being out-hoarded and having your time stripped away from you because you didn't bring enough models to out-hoard your opponent? It doesn't feel good, does it? So do you see how stupid this gets when you out-hoard the Horde? And some people might say, oh, well, that's stupid, that list won't win, blah, blah, blah. Watch, I bet I could go first with my 540 brimstones and just go, I end my turn. It's your turn. I keep all my stuff like far back so you can't do that much damage and everything else. Let my opponent, the orc player, move all his models as fast as he can. He'll probably take about 10-15 minutes. And then it's my turn again and I just go, your turn. And then he goes and does it again. And he's probably going to be out of time, especially if I bait him and put him into combat with something and he gets a couple extra attacks. And some people are saying people won't do this. People won't cheese this hard. You haven't been in competitive long enough to know what people will and won't do. People will cheese the crap out of you if it means they have a great chance of winning. So if I can make my opponent time out in 2 turns and then basically just walk everything up onto objectives with all the time in the world since they gave me 2 hours for my 540 models, I will win the game with that. And I get to just walk around after you run out of time because I forced you to run out of time by bringing more models, and I'll win the game off of that. And that's the thing, I don't want to play in a meta where I'm trying to build a bigger list just to get equal time, or so that I can time my opponent out like how I just mentioned. Both players should just get an equal amount of time no matter what, so this bullshit doesn't happen. It's literally the only fair thing to do that doesn't break the game like this. What I'm trying to get at is that these players don't realize that a system where you get more time for more models would dictate the meta a hell of a lot more than equal time for everyone. If everyone gets equal time, then they are free to bring whatever army they want that they think they have a fair chance with. But if you give more time based on models, then everyone is going to be spamming every model they possibly can to just get a chance at equal time or to cut out your opponent's time. And that meta would become don't get timed out as the main win condition, which would be really, really, really dumb. We're adding chess clocks to help games finish on time. We're not adding chess clocks to add a new win condition to the game. So let's go even further now and let's break the game again in a different way. What if I had 120 models in my list, but most of it is infantry and I fit them all in transports? I should be given time for 120 models in case I decide to play the infantry on the board. But what if I put them in the transports? I get extra time even though I have less models on the field. Then, if my opponent has a lower model count army, they have to scramble to finish everything because they got much less time because they only had maybe 50 models in their army. Sure, you can argue, well, base it off of how many models are on the field, but that's not possible because your time starts during deployment. So do we just reset the clock after deployment with a minus to my opponent's time for taking up time during their deployment, and I get a bunch of extra time because now I have less models on the field, but I deserve more time because I have more models in my list? Do you see how complicated and kind of stupid this gets? Whereas you can keep it simple and just in the tournament pack it says each player gets an hour and 15 minutes to play. When you look at a tournament package and it goes 2,000 points per army, are you allowed to go, well, I think I deserve 2,500 points because it's not fair for my army because they're a low tier army? No, that's not going to fly either. So why do you think you deserve more time because you have a Horde army as well? You don't. Look at the tournament package. That's what it says you get. That's what you should get. Those are the rules. Follow them, play by them. Also, I'm sorry if I'm starting to sound a little heated, but I was getting very upset reading all these comments and people just not listening to me. No matter how much I would tell them about this, they'd always have some sort of excuse of why they deserve more time. And again, I just feel like it's a bunch of entitled players. No offense to any of those players, but really that's all it is. They do not deserve more time. Nobody deserves more points. Play within the rules. That's it. Everyone has to. And like I mentioned earlier, this kind of thing gets really stupid when you have to try to add rules on top of rules on top of rules on top of rules to try and fix something that isn't broken. If we give everybody equal time, it just happens to work. It's not broken, it's actually fine. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, don't hate it until you try it. You say you don't have enough time to move your models in that time limit, but I will disagree with you all day until you at least try it. If you move at what I would call a tournament pace instead of a casual one, you should be perfectly fine. The Nid player that I mentioned in the last video that I played in the 4th round with a chess clock had 0 problems, and he had over 100 models in his army, and we finished the game on turn 6 with 20 minutes left in the round. It can be done. Trust me. So to summarize this video, if we give more time to Horde players because it's not fair for Horde players to get equal time as other armies, then that rule benefits one army and hurts everything that isn't the Horde. So if instead we just gave everyone equal time, then it doesn't hurt anyone because Horde armies can still play within the allotted time, and everybody else doesn't get shafted because of Horde armies. Also, the meta would become who can bring more models to force their opponent to have less time so they more easily time out and you more easily win the game, which I think is a horrible balance choice and would hurt the tournament scene way more than just giving equal time to everyone, where it would honestly help the tournament scene. I honestly feel like it's just some entitled orc players who don't want to take the initiative to learn how to play at a faster pace and would rather have everyone cater to them instead of them cater to everyone else. Well anyways, that's enough for this rant. If you enjoyed my anger, feel free to subscribe for more Warhammer 40k content. And if you want to help the channel even further, you can do so on Patreon. The link is in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy wargaming.